It is 8 p.m. and here are the top stories we're following.
Legislators are a lot like high schoolers. We save all of the work until the very end.
The clock is ticking for the 2022 legislative session and lawmakers are making one final push.
Several bills still on the table, tackling public safety and possession of deadly fentanyl.
We're getting dealers off the street and we're getting the resources on the ground to help save lives.
From your schools to the money in your pocket, Denver 7 is covering the bills that matter most to Coloradans.
This has been a historic session. I think one that people should really be proud of.
Plus, a deadly plane crash near Broomfield, the latest on what happened close to Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport.
And trying to get your money back from scammers, don't bank on it.
At first I felt secure because I thought my bank had my back.
Contact Denver 7 investigates a new scam targeting your accounts, leaving your bank none the wiser.
I don't know how somebody obtained it. It makes you feel vulnerable.
Good evening and thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm JACLYN Allen.
I'm Danny New. We are hours away from the end of the 2022 legislative session.
Yeah, lawmakers have until just midnight tonight to clear out remaining bills, and it is a mad dash to the finish line. As of this morning, there were 88 bills still needing action. Some of the ones still left at this hour are a bill to study the use of facial recognition technology. We covered that early in the session. There's a couple dealing with the behavioral health needs of people in the criminal justice system and, of course, fentanyl.
A conference committee changed the language of the fentanyl bill after the House failed to approve amendments made by the Senate overnight. This bill would increase penalties for those who deal fentanyl and make it a felony for possessing 1 gram of the dangerous drug. The measure also allocates money for drug testing and treatment.
And Denver 7's Colette Bordelon has been following the bill working its way through committee this evening. She joins us live outside the State House with the latest.
Yeah, that conference committee, it's basically a chance for members of the House and Senate to come together and try to reconcile their differences on the most contentious points of legislation. So for this bill, that comes down to the criminal intent surrounding someone who's found to be in possession of fentanyl. The Senate, when it was moving through their chambers, actually voted to remove the word knowingly. That's one of the points that's been argued at length with this legislation. So this language change tonight from that committee will make it to where the bill is going to be voted on in both chambers. The new language makes it possible for a defendant who's being charged with fentanyl possession to try and prove to a courtroom they didn't know the substance they had contained the deadly synthetic opioid. If they make their case, the charge could be dropped from a felony to a misdemeanor. During the conference committee, many say this change, among others, struck the right balance they wanted to see in the bill.
What we're saying is that if you do come in contact with that fentanyl unknowingly, that you're not a felon. And that's so very important. We heard story after story after story of people who died from accidental or unknowing fentanyl poisonings. They should not be wrapped up in this.
And it's either I want to get this drug off my streets, or the others say, well, we want to just learn to live with it. I don't want to learn to live with this drug killing kids.
Speaker of the House, Alec Garnett, is also a sponsor of this bill. He's confident it's going to pass in both the House and Senate tonight. I'll be watching those votes closely, and coming up tonight on Denver 7 at 10, I'll update you on what the decision is right down to the wire in this session on arguably one of the most talked about pieces of legislation this year. Live at the Capitol, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Thank you, Colette. Just in time for Boulder. We got another race tonight. All right, let's dig into some of those bills that might matter the most to Coloradans. First, the ones that address public safety. We have followed catalytic converter legislation all session long, and today the House passed 3 bills. One, to force metal recyclers to check a national database to see if a converter was stolen. Another, to impose penalties for tampering with vehicle emission systems. And a third, to allocate the fines from those penalties to theft prevention tactics for Colorado State Patrol. Meanwhile, a bill that would have banned talking on cell phones while driving has failed.
Education has also been a hot button topic this year. Democrats were discussing the idea of a special session if they could not figure out a public school financing bill. Now that's been avoided. A conference committee passed the bill with a 6-0 vote. This bill increases funding per students to reflect the inflation rate increase. More funding will also go towards school safety and improving behavioral health services for students. Lastly, a bill that would have given a state income tax credit to teachers for personal classroom expenses has failed.
We will have continuing coverage on the legislative session throughout the broadcast as those updates come in, as well as tonight on Denver 7 News at 10. We'll also have more information on the bills that have passed and dropped during the session online for you on thedenverchannel.com.
Next at 8, at least 13 houses are on fire in Orange County, California right now. Firefighters are at the scene in this Laguna Hills neighborhood. Several mansions have been destroyed. The Orange County Sheriff's Office issued an evacuation order tonight because of the fast-moving brush fire. It's not clear yet how this started. One person died in a single-engine plane crash in Broomfield this afternoon. This plane went down just north of the Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport, the intersection of El Dorado and Interlochen. That intersection was closed but has since been reopened. No confirmation yet on whether any other passengers were on board. The FAA and the NTSB are investigating the cause of this crash.
Police in Lakewood want you to be on the lookout for this man who stabbed a primary care physician multiple times last week. In this video, you can see the suspect walk in. That's just moments before he stabbed the physician. Now, this happened near the intersection of South Wadsworth and West Jefferson Avenue. According to the video, police say the man accused the physician of not treating him because the suspect had, quote, raped a girl, end quote. Police say the victim has life-threatening injuries, and if you know who this suspect is, please call Lakewood Police.
A 3-year-old girl has died in Frederick after a shooting inside a home. The shooting happened Sunday. When police arrived, they say the child was severely injured. She later died at the hospital. At this time, police are not being clear on whether the child was shot intentionally or if anyone is in custody. Police say there is no danger to the public.
And on that note, gun deaths reached the highest number ever recorded in the United States in 2020. The first full year we were in the pandemic. The CDC reports gun-related homicides surged by 35% in 2020, which translates to more than 45,000 deaths in our country. Tonight, Northeast Denver community leaders are discussing how to prevent gun violence from impacting teens here in Colorado. To combat this, some community leaders are hoping to beef up and expand summer programs run by local nonprofits. We talked to a nonprofit looking for more financial support this summer and a community leader working to gather resources.
I'm as scared as I've ever been, for what we're going to go through this summer.
What I want to be able to do is to make sure that if programs need money, then they also need to know who to go talk to.
Leaders say more financial help could be on the way. The local organization Gary Community Ventures is hoping to get an initiative on Denver's ballot that would give cannabis tax revenue to after-school and summer programs.
A Colorado woman discovered fraudulent charges being made on her debit card and immediately tried to stop it.
And now, nearly a month later, she's still trying to get her money back. So she turned to contact Denver 7 CB Cotton, hoping to get answers.
It makes you feel vulnerable.
Ashley Lameth read the text but didn't want to believe them.
I don't know how somebody obtained it.
She says a scammer gained access to her banking accounts and racked up $300 in charges in early April. Her bank even alerted her, and she told them the purchases weren't hers.
At first, I felt secure because I thought my bank had my back.
But a month later, she's not so sure and wants to warn others.
They said it was my device that had been used to make those purchases in Florida.
Lameth says she never traveled to Florida, so how could this happen? Steve Beatty, a professor of computer science at MSU Denver, thinks he knows.
There's something we call SIM swapping.
SIM swapping. It happens when bad actors trick employees at mobile carriers to switch a victim's phone number to a SIM card in their possession. The switch allows the scammer to send forgot password or account recovery request, and then they can take your money. But Beatty says you can protect yourself with the answers to your account's security questions.
When they ask you for your mother's maiden name, lie. Do not give your mother's maiden name. Do not give your first elementary school. Do not give your first pet. Make something up.
Lameth wishes she had done just that, while hoping the bank will refund her money.
I do work hard for my money, and it doesn't matter if it's $1,000 or if it's $200. It shouldn't happen to anybody.
CB Cotton, Denver 7.
All right, tonight, another blemish on Carvana's record. This online car retailer is laying off 2,500 workers, or more than 10% of its employees. This comes a week after Carvana posted a $506 million loss during the first quarter of 2022. Some of the workers who lost their jobs say they were informed over Zoom. Contact Denver 7 has reported extensively on issues involving this company. I've been covering them, including stories including undisclosed damages to cars, mileage discrepancies, and long waits for car titles. You can read a full list of our investigations into Carvana on thedenverchannel.com.
We had a scorcher today, but a cold front is on the way. But will it bring rain?
A Denver man gets out of a pickle.
We shouldn't be here, but we are here.
Jailed for drawing his own pickleball court on city property. Now he's paying a hefty price.
And forget scrubs. These costumes are just what the doctor ordered.
It's so compassionate and, warming that, that she'll actually open up and talk to him.
It's entirely because of Nellie.